So I recently read this book, There by Tommy Orange. It was one of my favorites for sure recently. I really loved it. So this book follows 12 characters, 12 Native Americans who live in Oakland, California, and it tracks their lives in a few weeks leading up to this big powwow that happens at the end of the book. So I think what makes this book really interesting for me is that each chapter is focused on one character only, and the characters have slightly different ways of using perspective. So in some chapters they're using first-person perspective, in some it's third, and there's this huge range of characters and how they live their lives. So there are some teenage boys all the way to grown women and men, and pretty much everything in between. So you get a lot of different perspectives and some really cool diversity of language and style that are all used to shed light on one or on several kind of shared experiences. And that's, I think, one of the biggest themes of the book, is that even though all these characters lead very different lives, you start to see how they affect each other and show up in small ways in each other's lives. And of course they all have this big shared experience of being Native American in Oakland in the USA today. And part of that, one of the things that a lot of the characters speak to is this idea of inheriting pain, or being born with the trauma of your parents and grandparents and ancestors, especially, due to racism and genocide of Native Americans in our history. So because of that, one of my favorite characters was this teenage boy named Tony Loneman, who was born with something called fetal alcohol syndrome, which is what occurs when a mom or a mother drinks alcohol while pregnant. So he has a lot of abnormalities in his face. And to me, that always seemed like a really poignant metaphor for how people can inherit pain from their parents. For him, it's physical. For most people, it's emotional and social or whatever. So I'm going to read a section from one of his chapters towards the beginning of the book, where he's talking about his aunt, Maxine. He says, "Maxine makes me read her Indian stuff that I don't always get. I like it though, because when I do get it, I get it way down at the place where it hurts but feels better because you feel it. Something you couldn't feel before reading it, that makes you feel less alone and like it's not going to hurt as much anymore." One time she used the word devastating after I finished reading a passage from her favorite author, Louise Erdrich. It was something about how life will break you, and that's the reason we're here. And to go and sit by an apple tree and listen to the apples fall and pile around you, wasting all that sweetness. I didn't know what it meant then, and she saw that I didn't. She didn't explain it either. But we read the passage, the whole book, another time, and I got it. So that's There by Tommy Orange. I hope you all read it. It was really, really good. Anyway, thanks everyone. Thanks, Mr. H.